Yeah, so good afternoon, or whatever it is, wherever you are. And well, we're just going to continue what we've been doing, I think. So in a moment, we're chanting the White Tower mantra. Bodhi Leela will be responding. And then just have a sit. Then at 25 past, Bodhi Leela will ring a bell. We'll have a 5-minute break and then come back together at 4:30. So we'll have half an hour for any questions you might have. Okay. So let's just take a moment to get ourselves comfortable and settled. Om Tare 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 Mama Aya Punyanyana Pustinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pustinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushkinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushkinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Chitare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtin Kuru Swaha.
Tare tu tare ture mama ayu punyanyana pushtinku swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Panyanyana Pishtinku Swaha.
Om Tare tu tare ture mama ayu punyanyana pushtinku swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Panyanyana Pishtinku Swaha.
Om Tare tu tare ture mama ayu punyanyana pushtinku swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Panyanyana Pishtinku Swaha.
Om Tare tu tare ture mama ayu punyanyana pushtinku swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Panyanyana Pishtinku Swaha.
Om Tare tu tare ture mama ayu punyanyana pushtinku swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Panyanyana Pishtinku Swaha.
Om Tare tu tare ture mama ayu punyanyana pushtinku swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Panyanyana Pishtinku Swaha.
Om Tare tu tare ture mama ayu punyanyana pushtinku swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Panyanyana Pishtinku Swaha.
Om Tare tu tare ture mama ayu punyanyana pushtinku swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Panyanyana Pishtinku Swaha.
Om Tare tu tare ture mama ayu punyanyana pushtinku swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Panyanyana Pishtinku Swaha.
Om Tare tu tare ture mama ayu punyanyana pushtinku swaha.
Om Tare Ture Mama Ayu Panyanyana Pishtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Chutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare Tutare Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Om Tare 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 Ture Mama Ayu Punyanyana Pushtinku Swaha.
Thank you, Berlita. So we'll have a 5-minute break and come back. If you've got any final things to say to one another. Okay. Okay, so we've got a little bit of time. If there's anything anybody wants to say or ask or whatever. And,
We have Jane here. I'm going
hello,
to
hello,
spotlight you, Jane.
Hello, hiya.
hello. Hello.
First, I just wanted to express my gratitude to you both because I've just found, like all your retreats, to be beautifully led and deeply affecting.
Oh, thank you.
I can't say that I've enjoyed this one though, because what's happened is I've just found I've had a lot of grief and sadness that have come up. It was a lot easier when it was squashed down in a little box and hidden, and but now it's out. Yeah, I just feel very raw and sad, and I suppose I have some fear about leaving the safe space of the retreat, and sort of how to work with this kind of vulnerability and sadness over the next few days. It's not the first time I've experienced grief, but I'm just wondering if you have any specific advice, kind of like how to practice with strong emotions like sadness and yeah.
I suppose, the first thing is to have faith, if you like, confidence that it is better felt than not felt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Try and keep that perspective that, I think particularly with grief, it's got its own kind of dynamic, hasn't it? And, try and have a sort of, try and have a sort of sense of kindness to yourself that you've allowed, you've created the conditions for that to be felt, because, in the long run, that's a lot better, isn't it, than keeping in a little box. But I don't know, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, I think the thing is just, do, as far as possible, just try and keep in touch with it, maybe invite it. Sometimes what I found quite helpful sometimes myself with kind of difficult material is that, don't sort of deliberately provoke it. But if you find yourself quite sort of settled and you feel, you feel quite settled in the posture and you can just sort of invite it up in a way, just sort of check in with the heart and just sit with it as long as it feels useful, really, so rather than trying to, I think the thing not to do is, repress it again, isn't it?
It's to what, sorry, to
is to not push it down again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is an opportunity, really. I know it's a difficult opportunity, but it is an opportunity because I think it will open into something else given time, a stronger connection really with other people, because it's a kind of universal human experience, isn't it, grief? So
yeah.
So it can connect us to others.
Yeah, no, very, very much. I think it's interesting what you said this morning. You said about your psyche, was it not being linear? Because it's sort of, I kind of thought I'd dealt with it and then it's come on so strongly again. It's just, but it's, I do see it as catharsis. overall.
Mm.
I think I see it as a positive. I think historically I would have reached for the fags and booze, but so I think I've made progress with the practice, and I feel more comfortable with it. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if Bodhidina's got anything she wants to add.
Well, I think, like you say, you bring in kindness, compassion, whether you're meditating or in your everyday life, once you've got that there. I tend to feel that when the stuff comes up, it's because I'm ready to deal with it, and that I trust in a way that I can hold it, but I'm not going to be like trying to be in touch with it the whole time. I imagine when you leave the retreat, you'll get involved in other activities, and it may go a little bit more in the background again at different times. But yeah, just be conscious really that you are in a sort of bit more vulnerable place, bring a bit more tenderness, a bit more care to yourself consciously.
Yeah.
And not put yourself in situations or with people that you think are going to be insensitive to that.
Yeah. I mean, I found the pujas you've led every evening have been so, I don't know, nurturing really is one word. I've just found the whole retreat has been a beautiful space, although not an easy one, but anyway. Yeah. All right. Thank you both. Thank you.
Well, from that point of view, then I would say, call on Tara. Green Tara, White Tara, Omega Siddhi, any of these figures that speak to you. Maybe there's another one that speaks to you. But I mean, Tara is definitely one that is supposed to be responsive when we need her.
Yeah.
And she's not just on this retreat.
I mean, I have got Padmasambhavas. It's almost like an earworm. Do I go with that if that's how it feels?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
What works? Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, James.
We have next Tara Mani. Would you like to?
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Paramonda. Hi, Bodhilila.
Hi.
Thanks for a great week. It's just been fantastic. Thanks so much. Thank you. I just wanted to ask about something that's happened just a couple of times, just once on this retreat, but I'd just be grateful for any help, really. So I'm in when I'm meditating, in a good, not wanting to judge it, but a good space, calm, feeling quite steady, in touch with breath, body. And then suddenly a very violent visual image comes in. I have no associations with it, and I certainly don't have a traumatic past or childhood, so it's very odd for me to have that kind of very, very strong, almost horrific visual image. And I just don't really know what to do with it. It's happened just a couple of times, but I haven't had the chance to ask a meditation teacher about it. So I just thought, because it's happened this week, I could ask you just I don't know really, what your thoughts are about it, or has it ever happened, or what to do with it really, because I'm a bit of a loss really.
Well, I've certainly come across that, and in a way it's a kind of recognised phenomena, I think, to some degree. I suppose it's just accepting that is, we all have these aspects of our psyche, really, Is there, it's not I wouldn't, it's not, I don't think it's abnormal. I mean, I know. I think with a lot of this sort of material, we kind of work with it. It's this quite subtle sort of line we're trying to walk, where we don't kind of indulge it, but on the other hand, we don't sort of repress it, you know.
Mm.
So it's quite a delicate sort of balance. I don't know if you can do much more. I mean, obviously you can sort of deliberately just come out of the practice if it's too difficult, you know.
Mm.
So, you know, you've got to use your own judgment. But I think ideally, all you can really do is kind of sit with it
Mm.
and maybe not take it too literally, if that makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
A bit like what happens in dreams, you know. The psyche doesn't sort of necessarily, you know, not take it too literally, you know, not. I mean, part of integration is also kind of destruction, you know, or a breaking down or something. Does that make sense, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, it might paradoxically, but the token, is that the right word? Be token? Anyway, it might actually be a kind of sign that something quite integrating, to use that word, is going on in your psyche, you know?
Mm.
I wouldn't necessarily take it as a negative thing, but as I say, you don't have to sort of take it too literally in a way. You know, without going into the actual images, it's probably a bit difficult to say much more than that. But there is, there is quite an interesting book written about this. I can't. It's by a woman who was quite a very experienced practitioner.
Yeah.
Suddenly started getting all these sort of really horrific images, you know, with her it's very strong. Can't remember what it's called. Maybe I'll try and find out what it's called and get it put up on the website.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
Demonic. It might take me a while. It's on my Kindle. I'm not sure I can read my Kindle anymore, but I'm sure I can find it. Hopefully.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, you know, in the end, she just sat with it. In the end, it does pass. You know, it just passes.
Yeah.
I think, you know, not in an odd sort of way. Don't take it personally and don't take it literally. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know, we've all got these. It's probably not unlike the sort of, you know, Padmasambhava and the cremation ground. You know,
Yeah.
sitting with these quite, you know, very strong images. Yeah. I wouldn't see it as negative, you know.
Okay.
But don't force it. I think that's the other thing, you know. Don't force it, you know. You know, it might not happen again, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why I thought maybe it wouldn't, and then it's happened this week. But it's interesting. It comes.
See, I think there's elements in our psyche that are not personal in a sense, you know.
Right.
But sometimes, as you say, you haven't got any particular trauma.
No.
So, you know, it's not necessarily personal in that sense. You know, there's parts of our psyche that are kind of, what can we say? You know, what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of, you know, like universal. You know, they're just.
Yeah.
You know, it might be something. Yeah. I don't know what else I can say about. You know,
No, that's
a lot more detail, really.
No, that's great. That's really helpful because I haven't had a chance to ask anyone about it. So that's really helpful. Yeah, thanks. That's good. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I suppose I'm just curious about what impact it has on you. You know, what do you feel in your body, your mood, everything else when the images come?
Yeah, it really throws me completely because I feel like I'm quite deep into something. And it's happened in intense retreats. The other time was an intense retreat situation. So there's something about that, I think, that's, I'm obviously accessing something, I don't know. So it's not, but it does throw me physically. It feels very like I've moved sometimes or been shaken. But I just open my eyes and it's too much, and then it's gone. Yeah. So it's not that I kind of recover, if you see what I mean. But I'm so curious. I stay with it as much as I can, because I'm just curious what's happened. But yeah. Hmm.
Do you need to know what's happened?
Maybe not. No, maybe not. I mean, I suppose it's the contrast between us being in a still place with some depth and then getting completely it's like a shock really. Yeah. So it's the contrast. Yeah. But maybe I don't know. Maybe I just stay with it as best I can. And it's interesting, I wondered if it was just me, but it's interesting if it's happens to other people. That's to be honest, that's quite helpful. It's quite reassuring in some ways.
There's a little bit in Jung's life, isn't there, where he has these horrific sort of visions, which initially thinks he's going bonkers, and he kind of realizes that kind of psychoid is the word. They belong to the sort of collective psyche rather than his personal psyche in a way.
All right.
What's this? Yeah, because I think he talks about it in the Red Book. I'm not quite sure he talks about it, or he might talk about it in that dream, that last book of his dream.
Yeah.
He certainly had them, And actually, I think it was the beginning of his real breakthrough. Not that I'm implying that's going to go. But, it was sort of significant.
Yeah.
I think it is. You are just getting, it does happen when you've gone deep, because it's deep in the psyche,
Yeah. Well, that's really reassuring to know, sort of thing, because I did wonder what was going on. But yeah, thanks for all that. That's really good. Really well. Helpful, really helpful. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that we have Alisa next.
Lisa, who's that?
Alisa.
Oh, Lisa.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. First of all, a great thank you to both of you and Dayaki to Chandradasa for offering all this. I would like to say that what you said, Paramananda, about that other mode of being in meditation and how you've, the different ways how you've described that, I found that so important, the awareness of the framework of our mind and which one we have in meditation or which one we can look for in meditation. And that makes such a change to thinking it would be a technique, or I don't want to repeat what all you said. I mean, everyone else has heard it and you know what I'm talking about. I just wanted to say how important I find that, and I'm so grateful how you're trying to put it into words. Yeah, it means a lot to me, really does. And the cherishing the breath for itself rather than wanting to be a method. Wanted, as much as the counting can make sense, and you said that, I'm aware of that, but I remember when I learned the mindfulness of breathing in the first place, I was just I couldn't believe it that I should count my breath, because I found the breath so amazing and touching that I thought, why make it a kind of narrowing it down to a method. And I just want to express my gratitude, and finally, when I was listening to what some people said about the breathing, the questions that were there around breathing and the throat and the sound, I actually became a breath, voice, and speech teacher. And with some of the things people said, a quite simple and very helpful breathing exercise came to my mind, which I could shortly explain, but I'm aware that there is not so much space, and maybe others have questions or want to say something. I wanted to bring it in yesterday, but then there wasn't much time before 6 o'clock. So I'm just offering it. But, the main thing is to express my gratitude and the joy of what you've shared.
Well, perhaps you can put it on the site, on the palette or whatever it's called. Is that possible?
Yeah, I could try to put it into words. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
There's weird stuff happening on the screen.
Very weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm back.
But we've just got 5 minutes more, Paramananda, just to let you know.
Okay.
Yeah. I have one question here via chat. Maybe it's an easy or I don't know question. This person is asking, what is the name, the meaning of your name, Paramananda?
Supreme bliss. There you go.
Great, thank you. We have Kirana Shri.
Hi, Paramananda. Hi, Bodhi Leela, Daike Yes, so first of all, just wanted to really thank you for the retreat. Yeah, something kind of really precious about the opportunity to be at home and kind of weave the parts of the retreat I've managed to attend with my kind of normal life. And yeah, really, really appreciated that. Like, I haven't been able to come in the evening much because I work in the evenings quite a lot. But yeah, it's been really rich retreat. So thank you, all of you. I just have one question. I know we haven't got very long, which is about the last stage of the practice of the mindfulness of breathing. Like, it's kind of sort of dissolved for me, but like I do teach meditation. And, I know that like when I'm teaching newcomers, the kind of expectation is you teach the fourth stage of the mindfulness of breathing. And somehow it's kind of disappeared. But I just wondered what your kind of perspective was on that, particularly, when you've got a kind of mixed group of meditators, some who are less experienced, some who are more.
So what do you mean when it disappeared? Is it just that you don't do that stage?
It's like it somehow, if I try and do it, I just find my mind goes back in naturally into the much broader, more open space. It just somehow doesn't happen anymore. That used to naturally become focused and absorbed. And now that kind of this broader awareness is what kind of manifests. So when I try and do it, it just kind of doesn't really happen. It just goes back into the broad awareness.
Well, I certainly wouldn't force that. I think there's a slight, not a problem, but I don't know that it suits everybody having the focus at the nose. Because it's kind of bringing your attention up, I mean, sometimes it's described as just in front of the nose, isn't it? You know. But I mean, see, I don't do that stage because, I mean, I don't teach many beginners these days, so I don't have that problem. But when I meditate, I mean, I've got the focus in my thumbs right the way through, you know. So that's a sort of delicate little center of it, but it's because I'm holding my hand, my navel, so it's down there, you know. I wouldn't worry about it personally, you know, when you teach it. I'm not saying don't teach it, because I think it's quite useful. But if it's disappeared, it's disappeared. I wouldn't worry about it. Might come back again.
Yeah, things change.
You know. I mean, as long as you don't feel scattered, you know. I mean, we do want this open awareness. Ideally, you've got a kind of very delicate little focus in the middle of it, but that might just be somewhere else in your body for you, I think, you know. Yeah. Or maybe it's not there at all, I don't know. But, you know, if you still feel, you know, you don't feel sort of dissipated or dispersed in a negative sense, that's fine, I think. What do you think, Viola?
Well, again, I think it's useful to have a practice where you're just doing mindful breathing that's not structured and not doing the 4 stages. But if you are, then I guess that last stage, people often talk about it being about one-pointedness. Mm-hmm. So rather than having this broad field of awareness of the whole of your body and the whole of everything that's happening, you know, like a wide-angle lens, a bit more like focusing in on something a bit more subtle, a bit more delicate, but it doesn't have to be, as Paramahansa said, that point where you feel the air entering or leaving your body, which is what people often say. So I think that, you know, if there's another part of your body or your experience that you could focus on that feels like you could do that, you could. But if you're not being able to do it, then I think we teach from our practice, don't we? So I wouldn't be forcing people to do something that you're not doing, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. I mean, I guess there is a sense that it's quite subtle, but there's some kind of centering around the heart or the belly that happens.
Yeah, I would go with it as it offers itself to you in a way. You know what I mean? If it's in the heart area or below or down the end, you know, the heart, whatever, that's fine.
I'm going to just say, you know, people often teach this, but this is what works for me, and then it's sort of gives people that choice, yeah. Because for some people it might work, and for some people it might not.
Yeah, thank you.
I must say, to me, it's always been slightly the wrong way around. Though I've had discussions with other meditation teachers that disagree with me, so, but it seems that to go from a kind of the first stage to the 4th seems like slightly odd to me in a way. You know, experientially, because, you know, you're opening up in that 3rd stage. And do you want to narrow down again? I don't know. I don't find myself going that way anyway. But as I say, with me, I do keep awareness in the thumbs all the way through it, you know. But anyway, you know, yeah. I mean, in the end, just as a general point, not about that particularly, but, you know, in the end, you know, we all have our own subjective experience of meditation, and although I think it's very useful to sort of use techniques, particularly in the early days, you know, the first few years. I mean, at some point, I think most people's meditation probably tends to become more just, you know, once you've got enough stability there, really, you can just go with what happens, you know.
Mm.
I think. But don't say my words. But okay, well, we better leave it there, haven't we? And just say it's been very nice to be with you, and well, that's it really. And, thank the Buddhist Centre Online for organising and hosting this, and maybe I'll just say, you know, if you can give them a bit of money, they do need it, so keep it all going. I know they would really appreciate that.
Yeah, there was a question about if there's a puja tonight. Yes, there is a puja tonight. There's an evening session, as usual, at 7:30. Yeah. Final part of the retreat, if you're able to make it, to end it in a more ritual way.
Yeah.
And, if you can't make it, thank you very much, everybody, for being on the retreat. It's been lovely practicing with you. And yeah, I would also like encourage you to, if you're able to, make a donation to Buddhist Centre Online, Dharma Chakra, because they do Buddhist Centre Online, they do free Buddhist audio, and I know that they, every year, they're trying to get money and trying to, you know, and it's, you know, year by year, it's always quite difficult. And they do so much for our community. So if you're able to, then please do give them some money.
Okay. Okay, well, lots of love to you all.
And thanks so much, Paramananda, for some awesome talks and absolutely amazing meditations. And it's always lovely being on the retreat with you.
Thank you, Bhavita.